it's Allie. Do you have any ideas for a new video?
No. Wait a minute. You're not Allie. Hey guys, and welcome to Nerdism for the Win. Today we are reviewing Batman Arkham Asylum. And I have with me Allie, who... What? Well, yeah, we were reviewing Batman, so I dressed the part. Don't worry, I'm gonna make you a gamer yet.
I'll make you Batman.
Okay. Batman Arkham Asylum.
The story itself is a fairly straightforward mystery, and in order to talk about this game in some depth, I will spoil it, so be warned.
Seeing as how I'm feeling generous, I'll give you this one for free.
Joker is packed off to Arkham again, though Batman accompanies him since something seems off.
He surrendered almost without a fight. I don't like it.
Joker escapes, confirming Batman's suspicion that he was up to something.
Welcome to the madhouse, Batman! I set a trap, and you sprang it gloriously!
Taking total control of the facilities, trapping Batman in the asylum and cutting him off from outside reinforcements. Thus, for most of the game, Batman must rely on his own skills in combat and detective work to find the Joker and figure out his plan, taking down various adversaries while rescuing the doctors and policemen also trapped within the asylum. In his rescue missions for the doctors, Gordon, and the Warden, Batman uncovers an intricate and sinister plot spearheaded by the Clown Prince of Crime himself.
So he decided to get himself back to Arkham, find his formula, and create the army himself.
Exactly.
As it happens, Dr. Penny Young had been experimenting with Bane's venom formula with the intention of using it as some magic serum to cure the seemingly incurable, most especially the Joker, who during this time was her special project. Unbeknownst to her, the Joker had funded the entire project and thus knew everything about it.
I've been a fool. Joker was behind it all. He's Jack White. He gave me the money, pulled the strings to release Bane. How could I not have seen it?
Dr. Young, however, discovering his secret purposes, attempted to cut all ties with him and shut down the project. Unexpectedly thwarted, the Joker formulated this plan for getting inside Arkham to obtain the formula, Titan rather than Venom, and use it on his henchmen to level Gotham with an army of psychotic abominations. In the course of uncovering this scheme, Batman suffers through Scarecrow-induced hallucinations, a terrifying run with Killer Croc, and a battle with the Titan-laced Poison Ivy, but at last he finds the Joker, whose attempt to inject Gordon with Titan is thwarted by Batman, and the game ends in a standoff with Batman and Joker Abomination. Seriously, look at that thing. Batman defeats him, of course, but that may not be the end of the story. Now, it takes more than just a good story or mystery to make a good Batman game. Mood and atmosphere play an integral role in imbuing a story with a certain signature Batman-ness. And this game delivers that in spades.
Funny guy.
It establishes the mood exceptionally well, with an almost cinematic setup. The dark, gray streets, the merciless rain, the brooding music, even the road sign for Arkham Asylum, serves to establish a brooding atmosphere of darkness, danger, uncertainty, and above all, creepiness, mainly by taking its time with its introduction. Though we know little of what went down to bring us to this point, we understand through Batman's demeanor, as well as his statement that something's not right and decision to accompany Joker into Arkham, that all is not as it seems, with the Joker's, well, joke,
Need to take my temperature? I'd be happy to drop my pants.
doing nothing to alleviate the mounting tension. After establishing such a tense and melancholy atmosphere, the game maintains it throughout by forcing Batman into a kind of locked room scenario. Batman is cut off from the outside world and any possible help, forced to uncover and foil the Joker's plot in a hostile environment. Moreover, he's virtually powerless. We constantly hear the Joker without being able to get to him, adding to the player's anxiety and unease. It seems he can observe and control your every move, and though you can hear him, you can do or say nothing to him, really. You might hear some reports of what the police are doing from Oracle, or the Joker might deign to selectively enlighten your darkness in order to intimidate you, but most of what you know is rumors and half-understood information. We begin with no idea of what the Joker intends to do with his newfound control, nor any idea of where he's taken Gordon and the Warden. Many has no compunction dispatching in brutal ways. You're not around to do anything about it, but it increases your sense of urgency to prevent the killing spree from spreading, especially since both the extent of it and Joker's power are far from certain. Most frustrating of all, it seems you're always one step behind him, finding the aftermath of his works without ever catching his goons in the act. Indeed, all the villains, Joker, Harley, Scarecrow, and Ivy, have this sense of omniscience accruing to them. Their voices mock and taunt you from on high. They seem to have unlimited power and resources on their side, especially Ivy towards the end. What can you, a mere man, do against them? Faced with such odds, each victory and step forward seems all the more miraculous. Much of the success of this overall mood can be traced to the game designer's reliance on tropes and style cues derived from Gothic fiction. Indeed, this game can be comfortably placed within the Gothic genre. Really, you might say? You'd place a Batman video game among some of the greatest and most frightening works of literature, among Dracula, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Frankenstein?
It's pronounced Frankenstein. Do you also say Froderick? No.
Well, yes, and here's why. Gothic fiction, representing a return to an era with greater supernatural awareness than the hyper-rationalistic 18th century, centered often around a single building, usually of the medieval Gothic style, with an oppressive sense of tragic mystery or a curse accruing to it, often including some menacing recluse hiding within it. Phantom of the Opera has the Paris Opera House, Dracula, Dracula's Castle, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, well, Notre Dame, you get the idea. And in that grand tradition, Batman Arkham Asylum has the titular asylum, still haunted by the tragedy and pervasive influence of its founder, Amadeus Arkham. The outside of the asylum is suitably Victorian Gothic, romantic even, yet clashes with the sterile and industrial interior, especially the further in you venture, with sterile and intimidating security and medical facilities overlooked by gargoyles and Gothic arches. The mansion itself is much less industrial than the prison, and probably the oldest building in the whole complex. It adds a further touch of the Gothic to the whole proceedings, with the intricate designs, architecture, sculptures, and statues all around. The abandoned botanical gardens do more to set an atmosphere of foreboding and doom than anything seen in either the asylum or the mansion. How can a garden evoke such a palpable sense of death? Between the cracked paint, crumbling columns, bare statuary, grand though deteriorating Victorian architecture, creeping vines swallowing the rest of the structure, and the overgrown plants coupled with modern security devices, the gardens give off an odd, jarring juxtaposition, making it, more so than the rest of the wretched complex, impossible to feel at all comfortable while inside. While having no explicit supernatural elements, the game does follow the tradition by giving a suggestion and illusion of unnatural forces at work throughout. Batman relies on theatrics to make himself a denizen of the night, a spirit to be feared by the criminal underworld, and experiments with Venom and Titan provide similar themes as Frankenstein and Jekyll and Hyde, of doctors messing with things that should never be messed with.
Oh, great. The nutty Birdman in apartment 4B is going to give us a religious insight.
Even the Joker emerges as a force unto himself, irrational and inexplicable. Attempts to understand him only lead to manipulation and death, in Dr. Young's case.
Oh my god!
Get out of the way!
Or madness and blind infatuation, in the case of Harley Quinn. You don't understand him, you only stop him. All well and good, you might say, but what about Batman himself? How does the stoic Dark Knight fare against the flashier psychopaths he battles? What does all this mood and atmosphere mean for him? The best place to begin is with the Scarecrow-induced hallucinations. The Dark Knight is stoic and grim, coming off as impervious in order to frighten the more excitable criminals he encounters. Since Batman will never betray his emotions, especially in a situation like this, we need desperate measures to show what's at stake for Batman personally. In the first hallucination, it's personified in the image of the dead Gordon and the corpses of his parents, and the claustrophobia and helplessness the Joker's control threatens to create is shown in the total control Scarecrow exercises over the Vision. The second doesn't quite register as a hallucination at first, beginning with an awareness that, hey, it's raining inside, before morphing into the alleyway where his parents died in a flashback to that event. Bruce was helpless to stop the gunman who killed his parents. Will he be helpless to stop the Joker in his nefarious scheme? Will he fail against the Joker, where failure isn't an option? The third comes out of nowhere and is by far the most unnerving. Beginning with a jack-o'-lantern bat signal in the sky, it becomes a demented inverse of the opening, with Batman in the place of the Joker. The Joker uses the Batmobile to bring Batman in, while Batman is restrained just like Joker in the beginning. Before, everyone else was deathly serious while the Joker traded bad jokes irreverently, while now, Batman remains stoic and silent while Harley and Joker goad him with cruel jokes. Even the TV screens are an insane inversion of the beginning, with the Doctor's warning replaced by Scarecrow, who declares that Wayne's been driven a little insane by his parents' death. It ends, or the cutscene does at least, with Batman thrown in a grave before his hand bursts out of the earth. Not even death can stop the Dark Knight in his quest.
How are you doing this? You've ingested enough toxins to drive 10 men insane. What are you?
Tenacious, I suppose. In all seriousness, though, this brings us to a charge usually leveled against the Dark Knight by his enemies and fans alike. Is he as crazy as the rest of them? That seems to be what the Joker is trying to prove, and his overarching goal as a psychotic murderer. But might that be an oversimplification? Let me explain.
No!
Joker asks him at one point,
Tell them. What do you think he's scared of?
Failing to save this cesspool of a city?
This, I think, provides a key to Batman's character. Though he very well could, he doesn't give up on Gotham City, instead going down into its seedy underworld to save it and keep it safe. No one deserves to die senselessly like his parents. That's why he chooses to stay in Gotham when he has all the money in the world to leave it behind forever if he wanted. The hallucinations highlight this purpose. Saving his parents was impossible, but he seeks to rectify the circumstances that led to that sorry fate. He truly was helpless that night so many years ago. Nothing he could have done or could do now will bring them back, and that impotence haunts him. Tying his hands and rendering him helpless places him back in that situation. However, he's no longer a helpless child, but a hyper-capable vigilante. The more dire and hopeless the situation, the more tenacious he becomes, the more determined he is to succeed. This quality, a refusal to give up on the cause of justice while he yet can do something, stands out all the more starkly the more powerful his foes seem. Because he was helpless as a child, he refuses to let the most dire of circumstances render him helpless now, no matter how Joker, Scarecrow, Ivy, or whoever attempt to manipulate him with their illusions of all-knowing omnipotence.
I just wanted to bring down your grim facade and for once let you see the world as I see it, giggling in a corner and bleeding. But you've denied me even that. I have nothing to live for.
Alas for the Joker, this will never happen because Batman hasn't given up on the world. He believes there is more good in the human race than bad, while the Joker believes all it takes is one bad day to make anyone as hateful, psychotic, and violent as he.
All it takes is one bad day.
Batman thinks the people of Gotham deserve better than what they've gotten, thus he won't give in to anything that will let the Joker or any other psychopath bring it down further.
I'll never let you win. Never.
Now that I think about it, he says that often over the course of the game. It's a crucial insight into his character, especially the word never. Is Batman as crazy as the rest of them? No. He doesn't want to be made helpless again, nor let anyone else suffer the same sense of helplessness and failure that he did. Thus, the more helpless he seems and the greater the impending failure, the more Batman resists and keeps fighting. The Joker will never win because Batman will never let him, and the more Joker throws at him, the more he guarantees Batman will defeat him.
Well, that was unexpected, wasn't it?
Before we get into the actual gameplay, let me just say that I adore this game. The game runs at a smooth 60 frames per second, and not once did I notice a frame rate drop. Also, since we're looking at the new remastered version, I get to gush and swoon over the graphical upgrade. This game looked great before, but now it looks absolutely gorgeous. Rocksteady went as far as to even add rain textures to Batman's suit while he's outside. The voice acting in this game is also top-notch. One of the selling points of this game when it was announced was the fact that it has parts of the original cast from the 1990s Batman the Animated Series, with the Kevin Conroy as Batman.
I don't like it, but who called the elevator?
Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill as the Joker.
Be over a deadly drop? What say I just blow the emergency brakes and drop you like a sack of puppies?
And Arlene Sorkin as Harley Quinn.
You won't find Mr. J. He's in the secret lab in the gardens and... oh, crap!
Yep, I know.
Joining the cast are actors like Cree Summers as Dr. Young.
Sir, you evil, evil, evil monster!
Tom Kane as Gordon, just to name a few of his characters.
Joker invades City Hall and holds the mayor hostage, leaving it to me to juggle SWAT teams, the media, and you. Yeah, it's been a hell of a night.
And Kimberly Brooks as Oracle.
So what's the plan? Isolate something in that room unique to both?
Exactly.
All the characters give a great performance, and it really draws you into the universe. To piggyback off what Allie was talking about earlier, the backgrounds do a great job of making the player feel uneasy and unsure of what's going to happen next. The game also has a healthy amount of cutscenes, but they never feel too intrusive and they never go on too long, at least in my opinion. However, if you don't like cutscenes, you do have the option to skip them. Now that we've fangirled over the graphics, let's get into the actual gameplay. Arkham Asylum introduces a staple mechanic into the series, Detective Vision. Detective Vision is a mechanic used to either set up a crime scene, solve puzzles, or to survey a room of enemies in different combat encounters, which we'll go into later. Not only that, you can see its influence in other games, such as the 2013 Tomb Raider. At certain points, you'll come across places where you'll need to track someone down, and that's where Detective Vision really comes in handy. You can use it to scan the room to find the evidence you need, or to help give you a little direction. Detective Vision is also used for Predator mode encounters. There are two types of combat, Predator mode and straight up brawling. At a straight up brawl, you, fight. Let's go! This is where Arkham Asylum introduces one of the best combat systems in any video game. You have your basic melee attack and a counter move. With the counter, you can take on hordes of inmates all at once. This makes it so you can rack up combos by using the free flow. Once your combo is high enough, you can initiate a special takedown attack. You can also use certain items to assist you in combat, such as your batarangs or your grapple hook. Also, if you want to let off a little steam, you can start a little something with those guys over there that want to attack you first.
Die, I'm Batman!
The other form of combat is the Predator mode. In Predator mode encounters, you have to take out an entire room of armed thugs as silently as possible. Kinda like Metal Gear Solid. During these encounters, your fists are not the ideal weapon of choice by any means. If you do try to turn it into a fist fight, well, you can, you just shouldn't. Because of this, you're forced to use all your wits and tools to accomplish your goal instead of your fists. However, the game does a good job of giving you all the tools and tricks you'll need, so it's not an unfair challenge. As a side note, the game also has mild RPG elements. For example, you get experience from fighting enemies, which causes you to level up. Obviously, Brian, stupid. Anyway, every time you level up, you're able to upgrade different things such as armor for added health or weapon buffs. The game does a fantastic job of easing you into things in a fair way. You're gradually introduced to new mechanics without feeling completely overwhelmed. Every time I died, I felt like it was my mistake, instead of feeling like I was the victim of a poor level design. This means a lot to a gamer. This game also has a fair amount of puzzles to solve as well. Puzzles can be challenging, but it's not like trying to play Myth with the map from the OG Legend of Zelda. Help! Completionists will also find enjoyment as there are plenty of unlockables, namely the Riddler trophies. There are quite a lot of them, and it certainly will take you a while to get them all. Getting the Riddler trophies will help you get closer and closer to catching him. Solving his numerous riddles scattered across Arkham will win you concept art, challenge maps, and much, much more. Beating the game for the first time will also unlock a special armored suit for Batman, only usable in the challenge maps. Another added feature are the Joker challenge maps. Originally, they were only available on the PS3, but the Return to Arkham versions makes the Joker maps available on both the Xbox One and the PS4 now. Joker's maps tend to be a bit more challenging only because he doesn't have access to the kinds of gadgets that Batman does. but he does provide a nice change of pace, and, you know, he is a lot of fun to play with. Although I love this game, it does have a few issues that I couldn't overlook. For example, I felt like some of the bosses and mini-bosses employed the waiting game just a little too much. For example, all of the Titan monsters, including Joker at the end, forced you to wait for them before you'd attack them. I also felt like the bosses were very similar to a Zelda boss, kinda like Poison Ivy. She reminds me of... Nah, it couldn't be. A popular criticism is that the Joker's final boss fight is a little underwhelming, and it is. For me personally, the fight falls short because it doesn't really challenge you as much as the fight before it. It does a rather poor job of coming up with a unique challenge, and instead feels like an early game Zelda boss. It's very easy to overlook all these issues, except for you, Joker, simply because the game is that good. This was a brilliant start to what I think is one of the best video game franchises in recent history, and it only gets better from here. Well, mostly, but, you know, we're not at that one yet. I didn't think you were really gonna do it!
I'm Batman.
Apparently. So Batman Arkham Asylum hit all the right notes for me. It was a definite good first start to the series, in my opinion. Again, it does have its pros and its cons, namely, the biggest con being the Joker. But, I mean, it was a very solid first entry. What did you think?
Well, even though it was a pretty simple mystery, I thought it told the story very well. It provided a good atmosphere, and it was a really good take on the Batman character. It delved just a little bit into the Batman mythos, not too much to be intimidating, but enough to really excite a diehard fan. And I just thought overall it was pretty successful for what I was trying to do.
Yeah. So I give it a score of 8.
I give it an 8.5.
All right. And that's our score for Batman Arkham Asylum. See you guys next time.